would start with a topic that also Kate previously discussed about. The World Bank Group still indirectly backs coal mega project despite the green commitment. The first one, we know that international finance corporations, one of the World Bank Group, began piloting the green equity approach with the financial intermediaries clients starting at 2019. And in September 2020, the IFC published its green equity approach, outlining that IFC no longer makes equity investment in financial institutions that do not have a plan to phase out investment in coal-related activities. But the remaining question is that the GRID initiative comes up with the following implementation, good following implementations in Indonesia. It's actually not, because of the IFC piloted its green equity policy with the Indonesian bank, selected with a bank that from the South Korea group, KIB Hana Indonesia, or Hana Bank from South Korea, and IFC plotting the project with the KIB Hana Indonesia, which went to fund Java 9 and 10 project, 2000 megawatt coal complex. And this Java 9 and 10 project is one of the world's biggest new coal complex remining, and IFC provides 15 million US dollars for this GEA. And despite clean energy transition shifting trend, this project continue, and it's currently been on the early development stage, and the pressure from the international community and the global climate initiative seems like they're currently neglected by the international finance corporations and the World Bank itself. So Java 910 is predicted to release 250 million tons of carbon dioxide over 25 years operations, massive amount of emissions which equivalent to the annual emissions of the Spain. This is based on a study from the records at 2020. And the project, Java 910, will worsen the air quality because of its use impact, because it poses a serious threat to the health conditions of more than 30 million people around Banten and Greater Jakarta. As we know that Banten and Greater Jakarta is one of the most dense populations in Indonesia. And the next one is Java 910 is really problematic. And I ever had a meeting with the IFC and then the US Exim Bank and also the congressman from the US, and we discussed about the IFC and the World Bank Group as they are serving role as a stakeholder and can give influence to the World Bank and IFC policy. But the problem is it doesn't generate any impact. And we also met with the IFC, and they pretending that we don't know that our pilot project partner, Hana Bank Indonesia, is currently funding the Java 9 and 10 project. We disperse the money, but the project keep going on because we don't really pay any attention before the Hana Bank will join this consortium to build a Java 9 and 10 coal power plant project. And in Indonesia itself, one of the complicated situation is the project will be built in a grid where it's already facing oversupply problem around 50%. It's enormous oversupply, and yet the World Bank and IFC group still financing through the financial intermediaries or third party that keep going to build a new coal power plant that would add more oversupply in the grid. And a lot of studies from the Greenpeace say that if Java 910 project were executed and built and allowed to operate, then it's predicted to cause almost 5,000 death, premature death during 30 years of the plant's operations. And this is our concern toward the World Bank plans for Indonesia. We also developing several publications with the recourse team, with the Kate teams. Also, we focus on why the World Bank say that they are focusing to low carbon economy, and then but at the same time they pledge to leave the coal behind, but at the same time they are promoting the fossil gas as part of the bridging fuel in this transitions process of the energy. So Our focus is that replacing coal with the fossil gas for the energy will not achieve any necessary emissions reductions because of we know that the fossil gas power stations will emit a lot of pollutions and methane, of course, that would be so threatening our commitment to tackle the climate crisis. And then the World Bank Group, for example, like they plan to expand the gas infrastructures, that this pose a huge threat to meeting the global Paris of the agreement and averting the most catastrophic impact of the climate crisis. And in their current strategy for investing in Indonesia in the next crucial few years, the country partnership framework or CPF 2021 until 2024 supports the accelerations of deployment of natural gas and biogas. Even though they are promoting that they will stop to finance the coal, though the policies still have a loophole that they can financing the coal through the financial intermediaries. They are currently promoting the natural gas, and thus the gas infrastructure planning might include the new fossil gas power stations, pipeline, ports, LNG import terminal, and regasification plants. Which Transnesia with the several organizations in Indonesia trying to seek an accountability in terms of why the World Bank said that why they don't really promote the coal, but at the same time they're promoting gas as the bridging fuel. They said that we are not promoting the gas, we're just promoting energy source that potentially will be beneficial for the baseload in renewable in energy transitions mechanism. So they considered as gas playing important roles as the bridging fuel because of it would be most rational source of energy in terms of the baseload in this space. And then I would say that we in Indonesia we have to leapfrogging fossil gas in Indonesia energy mix. Why? Because the World Bank Indonesia Economic Prospect report they published it at the end of December 2021 outline scenarios that are intended to move Indonesia toward a prosperous decarbonized economy, yet threaten to encourage the country to gas dependency. As we know, Indonesia is one of main coal producer in the world. At the same time, we are net exported of LNG. So if we are going to tackle the climate crisis, one of the reasons is we cannot stop the project of the fossil fuel if we are not stopping the finance of as the source of the project. So World Bank is really crucial, playing a crucial role not only for financing the project, but also financing the corporate in corporate financing in Indonesia. And then the scenarios emphasize that it's very firmly passing out of coal in favor of fossil gas and renewable energy, but they envisage the doubling of gas electricity generations. At no point it can be implied that IEP report is fossil gas is not considered to be a significant greenhouse gas emitter. It surely contradicts with the International Energy Agency that said that by 2050, net zero emissions roadmap that requires the world natural gas demand to more than half to keep the global warming below 1.5 Celsius. And this is the context in 2021. If you ever heard about the Indonesian's electricity company said they are not going to build any new coal power plant, is that so? But in fact, that even though Indonesia national state electricity company state that they are not currently building new power plant, but they replace it with several new gas power stations with projected capacity around 6,000 megawatt. And the problem is PLN is already locked into unneeded baseload power with the massive overcapacity problem. This is also our concern to seek an accountability to World Bank. Why you push and you promote the gas as the baseload the power if in the transitions process, the PLN is also burdening by the enormous amount of the power from the coal itself. And then if we are going to stop the coal, but we are replacing to the gas, we will stop the slot or the potential chance to developing renewable energy in Indonesia. So World Bank Group, as I said before, that it really plays a critical role, corporate financing through the financial intermediaries then and its loophole, and at the same time they are doing a project financing, for example, like giving a financial help to the state-owned electricity company in Indonesia or PLN, and due to provide significant support for Indonesia State Electricity Company, despite that the PLN also plan coal expansion. Then this is our focus on the World Bank policy. In short, that we can say that World Bank is really inconsistent and they're just not really fast respond to close the loophole. They note that the World Bank is incentively the use of gas and biogas as transition fuel in Indonesia, and the technical assistance and development policy loans are scheduled to support the Indonesia State Electricity Company or PLN, which still intends to construct 33,000 megawatt of coal power plant and gas power stations. And the DPF are targeting supporting PLN financial sustainability. Then the bank must be aware that its financing will also incentivize coal and gas development because of it's part of the plan in our state electricity company. Therefore, the TPF from the World Bank is at odds because of World Bank new climate change action plan, which aims to align with the Paris Agreement through the provisions of support client in way that inconsistent with low carbon and climate resilient development pathways. And this is the next concern that in Indonesia, we also ever several meeting in Indonesia with the World Bank Group Indonesia and East Timor, and also we are conducting a meeting with the IFC group, global IFC group, and then they said that we know that World Bank 2018 said that pledged to end financing for upstream oil and gas, but did not include the indirect financing. So the financial intermediary lending delegates the responsibility for managing social and environmental impacts of sub-project to the financial intermediary client, such as commercial bank or private equity funds, like what I said before with the Hana Bank Indonesia that's still supporting the coal power plant to 2,000 megawatt. The financial intermediary investment comprises over half of the total portfolio of the World Bank private sector arm, and it's huge and it's still dominant. And the IFC loans and equity stage in financial institutions keep the door open for private financing of fossil fuels, including the coal and upstream oil and gas. And there is a latest World Bank Development Policy Finance, DPF, for Indonesia fiscal reform, with a huge amount of the money goes to the board for approval in April 2020. This development policy finance support the governments through non-earmarked general budget financing, conditional upon reforms of prior actions. This DPF, it's artificially looking good because of the aims to remove value-added tax exemptions for the mining and gas and oil drilling. However, the DPF does not include the plans to extend the removal of value-added tax exemptions to coal, gas, and infrastructures, including the midstream and downstream levels, such as the power stations, pipeline, ports, and downstream coal processing. And while the World Bank is also supporting the introductions of new carbon tax through the DPF, it risks having unintended negative consequences that it will likely pass on the cost of this carbon tax consumer to Indonesia. So the carbon tax will burden the customer rather than the fossil fuel companies to take that responsibility, which will in return increase levels of poverty and reduce access to energy for the most vulnerable. And fossil gas is composed of hydrocarbons and methane, significantly more powerful greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. And this is the consequences. Indonesia new gas infrastructures will lock in greenhouse gas emissions for decades to come, undermining the country's decarbonization effort that they are promoting and publicly promising after the COP26. And fossil gas infrastructures processing is in Indonesia have a long story bad track record. displacing people, violating human rights. Also, we know that ExxonMobil also torturing and killed peoples in Aceh, Sumatra, and then the case will be bring into the court of the USA. And this is project one of the track record or on gas development in Indonesia. And we know that decimating the mangroves and rainforests, polluting the sea, coastal areas, and destroying the livelihoods of the communities living nearby. And also, this is the important one. If the World Bank keeps supporting the gas development, and they are not really seeking, they are not really providing the why this such a project is really inconsistent with this their pledge to reducing the emissions and support to tackle the climate crisis. It will also locking Indonesia into the dependency of on the fossil gas industry and contributing significantly to the escalations of the climate crisis. And one thing for sure, despite the World Bank, we are currently keep conducting and asking the World Bank, including the letter. And the challenge is they always say that the normative, we just supporting to keep that Indonesia's economy is growing and increasing time by times. And also, we are not going to give any financial assistance if your government doesn't ask any help from us. And this is kind of the normative answer is really disappointment. And we would like to World Bank Group must urgently redirect and direct the indirect finance away from the fossil gas to align both private investment and public policy and practice with the Paris Agreement goal keeping global warming below 1.5 Celsius. And the important one is ring fence the public finance for the energy in Indonesia to support just transitions away from coal, because to leapfrog the gas pace of development and to support local sustainable and renewable energy source. So I think that's based on our process to do advocacy with the World Bank and all World Bank Group, including the IFC, and long way to go. I think that we should keep connect to each other, because the World Bank keep doing expanding their fossil fuels as the energy for the bridging fuel in terms of the transition process. So I think we should connect and help to each other. So in Asia, not only Indonesia, but we saw that the Bangladesh and the other countries, that World Bank is really expanding this such a project, that we should stop it together. Thank you so much.